Holly Bailey from Play Like a Girl, thank you for coming down to Hoop City today.
Thank you for having me.
I'd love to start with why you started Play Like a Girl.
Play Like a Girl started in 2016. It was a thing that I wish that I had when I was a kid. So for me, I grew up in a bit of a boys' world with my dad and my brother. From an early age, they encouraged me to play sport and life just like they do, which is be a pretty little tough nut and get out there and just win at all costs. Now, that was a good thing to a degree. However, when it came to playing in team sports and things, there was a little bit for me to learn in terms of how to connect with other people and how to ask for the help I need. And back then, I didn't really understand that. I didn't have any context for it, but I had some significant lessons of my own later in my sporting career where I'd realised because I couldn't do those things very well, or it didn't come naturally to me, that I'd started to limit my ability and my ability to lead and play and grow. So I started to go on a bit of a discovery of my own, and it was probably about mid-20s when I realised I was still playing life by the same rules that the boys had sort of set for me when I was a kid, and started to kind of develop that sense of curiosity about my own sense of self. So that, and embracing some of those more feminine traits around expression and creativity and intuition and some of that skill set, those things became real life lessons for me, and that's a lot of the stuff that we talk about in the program and what we do at Play Like a Girl. But one of the things we definitely do is empower girls to know that playing like a girl is an absolute strength, not a derogatory sledge.
Can you talk me through how people sort of enroll in the program and what the program has to offer? Like, what does it look like once you're enrolled?
So now what we have is a structured 5-week online course, as well as a growing community of athletes. And initially it was started with athletes in mind, but since we've been able to welcome in coaches and ladies and men who are heads of associations or parents that have got girls in sport. So it's a 5-week training. First week's purely about where are you at in terms of your thinking and your mindset. Does it support what you actually want to do? So we really strip that back and go, all right, what are we looking at here? What needs work, or is there anything that we need to address? So we really strip the onion back, as you say, in Module 1. Module 2 is usually we've had some pretty significant realizations by that point. So we start going, cool, based on what we've just learned, what do we actually want to do now? Can we dream a little bit bigger? Can we start to create a vision ourselves that really, really inspires us? So we start with the end in mind in Module 2. So we'll start to get them to dream of a future that's exciting and really draws them to something emotionally. So we go through all of that. We get them to set their own benchmarks in terms of what they compare themselves against, what they'd like, when it's on-field performance or off. Character-wise, we get them to consider all of those things, even what they want to compare themselves against, because comparing ourselves in a high-performance environment, natural, that happens, but we want to just take ownership of that as much as we can. And then in Module 3, we start looking at how do we take that now and operate well in a team and know how to ask for help and develop connection and chemistry with the people around us, because we must go together if we want to get somewhere. So that module's all about stronger together and really emphasising the importance of that. And then we start to go Module 4. What does that look like in terms of leadership? What's our style? What strengths do we bring? How do we courageously step out as a leader once we've kind of just found our feet in a team? How do we step out again? And we want to give girls the empowerment and the courage and the tools to be able to actually do that. And then Module 5, that's Play Like a Girl. So how do we take everything that we've learned and play like that in the world? So we want to empower girls to go out, lead as authentically as they can, because the world is absolutely begging for it. So we want to give them the tools to do that, as well as the community to fall back on when and if they need it.
And what do you think is so special about playing like a girl?
I think that we're shifting what that means. It has traditionally been a really derogatory term, and for me, I chose it initially, I think, because it kind of came from the seed of rebellion. Yeah, I do play like a girl, watch me. And that motivated me, and I really like that, and I think that's a really good place to start. It has evolved over the years as well, because play like a girl can also mean just let go and play like a girl and play like a kid again, and I think that serves us really well in a work context. If we can just express and let ourselves go a little bit, I think there's real desire to lead like that, but to also to be around people like that too. So it's just a really special place to be, and it's a really encouraging environment of people to bring exactly who they are and bring that uniqueness. Like, you know, we see it in teams all the time. It's that uniqueness and that diversity that makes teams really special. So that message right now is really, really important in sport and business. So yeah, we're really passionate about having those conversations in all environments. So we've got some programs. We started with a product that was specific in sport, but there's just the metaphors and the correlations between sport and business are too relevant to ignore. So we've had a lot of interest in going and presenting in a corporate space and telling that story, because for me, my story was very much girl grows up in a boys' world and thinks that that's how she needs to do things. And even through my career in my early 20s, was always working in male-dominated environments, so sort of did the same thing, just thought that I kind of would leave my personality at the door and just do what everyone else was doing. And then it was kind of a little bit later finding, oh no, actually I should bring more of myself, and then having people say you should do that, and realising there's strength in that. So in a corporate space, girl in a boys' world finds her own strength and then learns that that's a real true power and strength of hers. That story lands pretty well in a corporate space. So we get to open up conversations about diverse groups of people, diverse environments, and how we support them.
Who is the perfect candidate for Play Like a Girl?
From an athlete perspective, from our sports programs, they're girls 16 and up, so grassroots to elite, all the way through. It doesn't really matter what sport you come from, it's cross-code. It's the lens that you look through things with that will make the difference. So we all experience challenge as we go for things, and we just want to give girls the tools that they need to be able to face those challenges. But yeah, 16 and above, you could be a coach, a player, head of an association, an umpire, anyone sort of female in that sporting environment. And then in a corporate sense, we're really talking to a lot of heavily male-dominated environments that want to have a more inclusive and diverse workplace.
Can you tell me some of the inspirational stories, because you've had quite a few athletes through that are amazing and already, kicking massive goals at such young ages. Can you tell me about some of them?
So we had Tyler Hanks come through. She's one of the shortest girls in the AFLW, and I brought her along because I had a really similar experience in my sport. Also short girl problems had been a story I'd come up against of my own creation, I guess, which had limited me at times, and bringing Tyler on was a way to kind of just disrupt that whole story, because there's so many girls that have it and think that because we might be a little bit shorter that there's no way around it, and having Tyler come on just absolutely obliterated that. And she's just a really smart girl, really talented footballer, and has done a lot of work with their sports psych to work through her psychology around her game and her mindset. So she had some really practical, powerful tools. She's a gun. Yep. We also recently had Harriet Cordner from the AFLW from the Richmond Tigers, also just a really reflective human, and I've played with her and I've seen how she operates, and I was curious if that's how she's naturally always been. She's very charismatic and able to bring people together. So we dug into her story a little bit about how she's been able to embrace that, which was really enlightening, I think. And it's nice that we're getting these athletes come through to just share so openly, and they're so humble. It's really refreshing for the girls who are coming through in the program to see actually these athletes, whilst they're at the top of their game, are exactly like me, experiencing exactly the same stuff. So it's a really awesome place to be. And everyone gets a book called The Victorious Book, and it's an illustrated book by a cricketer from the Hobart Hurricanes, Corinne Hall. And there's stories and illustrations of female Aussie athletes, from Dawn Fraser to Taylor Harris and everyone in between. And we get the girls throughout the course to use the book as a reference, and we share stories of who inspired us most and why. And there was one young girl through the program who said, Dawn Fraser inspires me most. I didn't know much about her, but reading her story really inspired me because she has asthma. And I have asthma. And so that kind of gives me that encouragement I need to know that I can still achieve things. And I would never have picked that because it's not something that directly resonates with me, but that will be a game changer for her, and just a tiny little shift. And things like that are becoming more and more common, that it's just a tiny little thing, or you see someone doing what you want to do and go, it is possible. So this role models piece is, for me, now becoming just even more significant than I probably ever realised.
Can you give me an example of a participant who's come into the program and paint a picture of what they're like when they first arrive to the contrast of when they complete? Yeah,
definitely. So we have girls come in from all walks of life, all over the country, all different sports, backgrounds, experiences. And at the start, we try and create a really open team environment. And at the start, when you join a new team, there's always a little bit of nerves and people are a little bit unsure. And so the first session or two, we're just really wanting girls to share and collaborate. So we make sure that they get the opportunity to do that as much as possible. And at the beginning, sometimes it's a little bit harder to get them to kind of put their hand up and share openly, but by the end, everyone's in tears because throughout the program it's so self-reflective and we're sharing such vulnerable stuff that by the end, everyone really wants to share and everyone wants to really be involved and comment on what someone else has said or share their experiences. So what they gain through the program, what has been really evident is that self-assurity or that self-certainty that they didn't have at the start, and it's only through learning more about themselves that they're able to get that. We're teaching them frameworks and tools, but it's the confidence that they're gaining to actually implement them, I think, that is the most powerful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you see Play Like a Girl in 5 years from now?
I see all the girls who come through our program either sitting on boards or in leadership roles or leading associations. I see us as a stepping stone. We can teach them this much, but it's when they go out into the world and implement it that it's going to make real ripples. So they use us as a stepping stone, and then we see them out in leadership roles. That's going to be an amazing thing. And then if we get the opportunity to continue to develop products for different environments, then I would love to do that, because I think girls and women and all of us deserve every opportunity to reach our full potential and to work, live and play in environments that support us to do that.
How can organisations get involved to help support Play Like a Girl?
We've got some awesome organisations who are really keen to help us grow this initiative and have as many girls as we can come through the program. And the way that they do that is provide scholarships to girls. So fortunately, we've had companies come along and sponsor 50 or 500 girls, and then we're able to go to sporting clubs, schools, sporting associations and say, hey, we'd love to give you girls, a few spots to come through the program, and that's been a really successful model for us. Yep. And then in return, we can promote that scholarship and kind of let other people know that how important this is to that organisation. So scholarships is definitely one, and then the other one, we're always looking for corporate allies, because we want to have these girls have the opportunity to go into a corporate space, and we've got a really good network of proactive girls that want to be leading. They're really proactive in their own development from an early age, so they're going to be really good candidates for employment later. Yep. So we've got some partnership options for corporates that want to get involved with us and drive that diversity and inclusion inside their organisation.
Yeah. Can you sort of outline any of the main highlights? Like, what would be one of the most powerful moments that you've witnessed one of the participants go through?
For sure. I can think in Module 1, we do a demonstration where I had Harriet Cordner come in, and I chose her to come in because she's the most jacked chick that I know. But I wanted to demonstrate to the participants how important our mindset is and how that physically impacts our ability and our strength. So because we're filming, we have to stand quite closely to each other, and she towers over me by miles. However, we went through this demonstration, and in the room was all black. There was a few people kind of watching, but it was super intense. So we got her to stand in front of me, and I fed her dialogue and got her to imagine a situation where she wasn't feeling that confident in what she was about to do, and the kind of negative self-talk was happening, and she would embody it, and she'd have her arms out like this. So once I could tell that she was really experiencing it, she'd give me the nod, and I could just really move her. There was no resistance. She was trying hard but couldn't. Her body didn't have as much strength. And then we got out of that, and then we do it again where we get her empowered in a state where I've absolutely got this. Watch me. I like, no one can stop me. And again, same thing. She embodies it, and it was as if she grew in front of me. I could feel her energy and her confidence just completely changed, and to move her, I could have hung off her arm. She entirely changes your physiology, and I wanted to demonstrate that to the girls to show, if you're going into a contest, say it's in footy, if you're going into a contest and the mindset isn't quite where you'd like it to be, it will physically impact your ability to take the footy out of the contest, and to think about things like that. Yeah. We really want to make sure that we know how important developing our mindset and our thinking around this stuff is from an off-field and on-field perspective.
Obviously, creating the program,
yeah.
How have you found your own progress from starting it to now?
Yeah, so I'd always sort of just run ad hoc workshops or sessions over the last couple of years and done some development coach roles in different sports. But bringing together a structured program and we get to have a community is just entirely different. And it's so much more impactful than I could have ever imagined. So I'll get to see all their worksheets come back of the stuff that they've delved into, and it's like the way that they're able to flip maybe negative experiences in the past or injuries or memories that they've held on to and flip them into things that are now tools and motivation is exceptional. And that's been something that I didn't really I sort of didn't see coming. But from a personal perspective, everything that is in the program are things that I experience all the time, so I'm constantly needing to refer back and use my own tools, because no matter what we go for, we experience challenges. So I would use it in a sporting context, but now I use it in a business context. I'll constantly be like, remember what you're teaching, because you need to be living that too. And I think that's a pretty interesting space to be in. So you get to some point and then you realize, oh, actually now I'm going to start again. I'm still going to need all of those tools. So whilst it's been useful, sometimes it's a bit of a rude slap in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and it's good, I suppose you need to practice what you preach.
Absolutely.
So that's important that you're using your own tools as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we tend to try and lead by story through sharing our own experiences, rather than go, this is how you do leadership, or this is how you do something. We want to share stories based on our own experiences, so it's a sort of more of a mentoring relationship.
Yep. The Stitch Untitled slogan, not for the faint-hearted, how does that fit in with the business model of Play Like a Girl?
So beautifully. I don't think that you'd probably last in our program if you weren't someone who was driven to do well. I'll start again. I think it fits in so beautifully, because what we're asking the girls to do is dig a little deep. They're going to have to reflect on some experiences, on the way that they think, the way that they see themselves and see the world, and that is not a journey for the faint-hearted by any stretch of the imagination. We're encouraging vulnerability, so I think that is just a slogan that I might borrow from time to time, because it fits really, really well.
Amazing. Cool. Thanks so much for your time, Holly.
Thanks
and
for
all the best with
having me.
Play Like a Girl.
Thank you.